What am I now?
Welcome to Sideline to Baseline with your hosts, MB and K. Lou. We back, y'all.
What up? What up?
So look, we got Double A in the building and Armed Rodgers. You hear that? Armed Rodgers. And somebody here wants to talk about how Aaron didn't deserve MVP.
So Armed Robbery, you talking about he was stealing? Is that what happened? He did armed robbery?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers?
Put the
yeah.
money in
He
the
stole
bag.
the MVP trophy, Jason.
He did. It was a heinous crime, and he's not going to get away with it.
Ooh. So why? What's the charges? What's the charges, man? We got to defend Aaron Rodgers. What's the charge?
Armed robbery is the charge. That is the charge. That is the simple case of being a ridiculous man with a ridiculous haircut and getting just assumed into the MVP position, completely besmirching the good name of Cooper Daniel Cup, who is the true MVP of the season. Which is a case I'll make later.
Well, let's remember now, the MVP goes through the quarterback room first, no matter what. And then you start having a discussion. So, everybody basically has to play bad, Jason, and that's never going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it happened, maybe 3 times in the league? Last 15 years, it had all day. Peterson, he won it when he rushed over 2,000. And then I think Jim Brown won it once. And then I forgot who else won it,
Which is virtually never.
So usually, right? And that's the thing we need to talk about. I mean, as well. I mean, is that fair? Is that right? Why the quarterback, they automatically become the front runners for it, as opposed to other guys have deserving seasons. Because you look at this year, right? You talk about Cooper Kupp, the season he had, the triple crown, right? Reception, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. Then you look at my man TJ Watts. He tied Strahan with 22 and a half sacks, right? And then you can make a case for JT, Jonathan Taylor from the Colts. He rushed for almost 1,800 yards. I mean, over 1,800 yards. So, I mean, all that stuff is outstanding. And then if you want to be picky the O-line, say, what about me? What about me? I ain't give up a sack. You know what I'm saying? Overworked and underappreciated. But the quarterback always automatically becomes a front runner for the thing. So that's a whole discussion.
Even on his own team, Jason, let's face it. I ain't get to talk Super Bowl really, but if you think about a Super Bowl, I guarantee you it was all in our mind co-MVP. even though it was like Cup, clearly it was like co-MVP. They gonna find a way to get us to Matt Stafford too.
I'm glad you said that. I was hoping you would go the quarterback route, as I can pretty clearly make a case for Matthew Stafford year to Aaron Rodgers. You see, he only threw for, I can understand how this is, not a big deal, about 1,000 more yards, while also throwing for 6 more touchdowns. Now, he threw for far more interceptions, played in a different offense, played a little different league. I don't think anybody on the planet that we all reside on, though, would have picked the Packers head-to-head over the Rams. Are we in disagreement there?
You said what?
Would anybody choose the Packers head-to-head over the Rams?
No.
Regardless of the interceptions Matthew Stafford may or may not throw.
You think that Rams team could have won in Lambeau?
Yes. I think they could have played like the 49ers did. Because I think they're built similarly, and Stafford's an upgrade over Jimmy G.
I think your argument last week was that those 5 quarterbacks in the AFC legitimately had a better year than Aaron Rodgers. Maybe didn't have as low a turnover ratio, which I think is a dividing line, and probably had a little bit more talent around him. But Aaron Rodgers definitely still has the number one, arguably the best receiver in the league around him. Maybe not what Cooper Kupp did this year with the Triple Crown. I don't know how often that's ever been done in our lifetime. But that's 2,000-yard running back type of year. So I think, Devontae Adams is great, but
I mean, look at their number 2 on that whole team. I mean, it's a far drop to anyone else. What is it, Valdez-Scantling, maybe? You know. I would say, personally speaking, you could even limit me by conference as AA, as my colleague there suggested, and I could pretty easily still convict Aaron Rodgers. But we can go any way you want to go with it. I mean, like MB said, going back year by year, it's all just running backs if it's not a QB. AP was the last one. Before that, it was LT in 06. Sean Alexander, the year right behind him, which was the most expensive mistake Seattle ever made. Before him, Marshall Faulk. And then Terrell Davis. I mean, my goodness. I mean, and then Barry Sanders. So and then Emmitt Smith. I mean, it's running backs or QB. I mean, before then.
So Marshall won it over Kurt Warner on one of those teams. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a 3-down back who could, run, catch, and block, and probably could throw if they ever let him do that.
Where's his Disney movie?
What's that?
Where's his Disney movie?
Yeah.
But I mean, what do you?
I'll say this: if you were to work backwards, I think in case of armed robbery, I think the sentence is you're stuck in Wisconsin, buddy. You can't even get out of there. That is the penalty. He's living his own worst nightmare. So,
well, I mean, you said you were saying if you were his agent, though, you tell him to stay.
From a business stance, yeah, that I would. But according to a guy who's been dying to get out of there since I can remember hearing for the last couple of years, he wants out, but he can't even get himself out. They're bringing in every coach that he ever loved now. They're going to guilt them even more.
You're at the age now where
he's going to wind up staying. I think he's going to wind up staying. If you look the way that's trending, yeah, I think he stays. But you going to make the case for him, MB, or which way you want to go with it?
Well, I mean, as far as quarterback, only quarterback to me that was close to him is Tom Brady. The only quarterback. I mean, as far as that, you can make a debate. As far as with quarterback wise, like Matthew Stafford, child, please, he caused them to lose more games than at the time. I mean, a few games they did lost to 4. He was the culprit for that. But I mean, he did better, but I mean better than he did at Detroit. And we had a question mark: can he win on a big stage? And obviously, as the season went on, especially after seasons, he did it. But that middle part of the season, I mean, we was like, ugh, because they started off fast, and it was like, man, and it was like, well, don't believe the hype just yet. And then, sure enough, he started like pressing himself and making mistakes, and it was like, but hey, to his character, he did bounce back, and he played very, he made some big plays when it counted in the playoff, especially that play against Tom Brady. That one that one pass he threw was outstanding. But as far as quarterback, man, only quarterback, I mean, that I say that you could make a case against him is Tom Brady, because Tom Brady led the league in passing yards. He led the league in touchdown passes, right? And then his completing percentage was not far behind, and Tampa Bay was the number 2 seed, if I'm not mistaken. So that's to me, it was a 2-man race as far as quarterback. You could squeeze Joe Burrow in there, right? But just the interceptions and stuff and the pass, that's what happened. But he did excellent as well. But when you look at the quarterback, you got to find out, obviously, what are you looking at to rank him based on stat? Is it just about the yards? Is it just because, or are you looking at touchdowns or whatnot? One of the indicators that we look at that is a good summary of how well they do per game is the passing rating. And so Aaron Rodgers, by far, had the highest passer rating out of all the quarterbacks, by far. And then you look at, when we talk about as a team, preparing for a team, one of the indicators if you're going to win or lose is what? Protecting the ball and getting the ball. And you look at Aaron Rodgers, every other quarterback was double digits in interception, and he was 4, And other than like Lamar Jackson, right? I mean, Aaron Rodgers, you got Devontae Adams. He's got a number one receiver, but everyone else, you like far as receiver-wise, is a huge question mark. His left tackle was hurt majority of the season, didn't come back to 14. So, to me, he did more with less, right, than all those other guys. So, from a quarterback standpoint, two-man race, man, Matthew Stafford, you can give him the MVP for playoff, right? But as far as the regular season and whatnot, I'm not buying with that. Now, Cooper Kupp, that's one of the things. Now, with him, this type of season he had and what he did, and especially once you lost the guys, you lost Woods, and then the fact of Triple Crown, that's special to me. You know, that's one of those talks where, you know, to me, he should have definitely been included in it. And then if you waited, they usually wait to the last minute as far as when the thing came out, just his production of work. I think it should have been a two-man race between him and Aaron Rodgers.
A lot of excellent points. Tom Brady, I agree. Honestly, I think this is more of I should be acquitting Aaron Rodgers of this crime because all I've got to do, I don't have to prove Matthew Stafford did it. I just got to introduce some doubt in some. But I think one thing, since the history is running back, then I think the absurdity grows because Jonathan Taylor had 600 more yards than the next closest running back in the league this year. Does anybody realize that? How far and away? 1,811 rushing yards, 18 touchdowns. I mean, any other season, you know what I mean? This would be, you know, how was Jonathan Taylor not the front runner from the beginning? I think if you really think about it, the only thing that's got Aaron Rodgers in it is his low interceptions has contributed to his high passer rating. And having such a high passer rating puts him in there. But are we in disagreement that are we in agreement a passer rating over 100 is great? There's 11 quarterbacks who finish the league with a passer rating over 100.
Right.
So his is a little greater, you know? So what do you think, Caleb? Who would have got your MVP?
I mean, that's what I'm telling you. Like, and that's what NFL's about. Like, you don't have to be over and away, but you just got to play the quarterback position, and you got a better shot. Again, I'm sitting there looking at the Super Bowl thinking, how are they going to find a way to get Matthew Stafford involved with this MVP? Like, why? Because he plays quarterback. No other reason. But I mean, you've watched dominant heck, Aaron Donaldson had a dominant defensive performance. And I never thought for a second he'd get a smell of it. If you want to be honest, I thought he was as deserving as Cooper was. I know he scored a touchdown, but
he should have had co-MVP.
Yeah, him and Cooper should have split. Yeah,
that's right. But like, you know, he got the last touchdown with the Cooper, the last sack to close it out with Aaron. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and the stop before it.
Yeah.
The third down stop before it was all Aaron. That was a one-arm third down stop.
So I'm just saying, man, it's one of those things, Jason, that I guess it, you know, with you being super objective, being able to look at it clearly, you see what, you know, I mean, you should have always saw.
Oh, you're being serious with the objective. I thought you were being sarcastic because I hate Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, like I mean, look at you. Even at Clemson this year, who'd you blame for everything? You know what I'm saying? Like, but you know, and I think it's fair that you do that because if they were having a great year, guess who would have been getting all the credit? Like that's how it works. So I'm not upset by it. I'm definitely not shocked by it. Actually, shocked more that Cooper Kupp won it by itself without him. That's what I was shocked about.
Yeah. Well, do you think there should be a separate award though? Why is it such a shoe-in for a quarterback?
It's you have most you know in the college football they do for the offensive line the Joe Max Moore award is for the top 5. That's a whole position award. You know, I'll go back to Stafford and just say, that guy, what he did on the day after, as far as on the parade route, if he did win the award, he would have had to given it back because he showed why he wasn't a receiver. he dropped the ball. I got to go there. I'm sorry. And I'll come back to Rodgers. I think the stat that separates is the turnover. 4 turnovers in 17-game regular season. That's almost 1 out of every 4. That's unheard of. Now, does that mean he's not taking chances? Doesn't sound like it if he's still throwing for that many touchdowns and that much yardage. So that's even that much more of a rare sort of season. I don't know if I ever remember a quarterback throwing 4 interceptions in our lifetime, and his name wasn't Bob Greasy, And this is not 1972. So that's rarefied air there. So.
I mean, I get it's the only position judged in wins and losses, but man, I mean, we could go down the list and give 100 reasons more why, but Aaron Donald, 100%. Honestly, you know what? I would have been less offended if Aaron Donald got the MVP by himself and Cooper Kupp did not get the co-MVP than if Cooper, and I'm a huge Cooper Kupp fan, but you know what I mean? Like if Aaron Donald just gets it, come on, he just closed out the game. And Jamar Chase is wide open for a touchdown on that play. So literally, without exaggeration, single-handedly, no pun intended, that's Aaron Donald's MVP. It just is what it is, So I agree completely. That's it. And it sucks that everybody knows it. We know it. Most people know it. It'll never matter. It's not going to go in the history books.
Yeah, I think, but that's another argument, right? We talk about the attention that the quarterback get, right? And then we say, then now when you take it on a different level, offense, defense, I mean, defensive players to me got to do way more over and beyond to get the recognition that offensive players get, I mean, way more. So you look at Cooper Kupp, and not taking anything away from him. I mean, dude scored 2 touchdowns, got the critical 4th and 1, got that on the jet sweep, right? He made some outstanding plays. But like you talking about with Aaron Donald, it's not enough given to that, right? In the sense of this dude, especially, he closed out the game. He basically pushed that guard that was trying to block him into the lap of the running back, made the tackle, right? Then he ended up getting the pressure at the end that sealed the game. And then before that, he had 2 sacks. Then he had like 7 quarterback pressures or some crazy number like that, So, I mean, you look at that and you're like, man, because I mean, at one point, especially the opener of the 3rd quarter, Cincinnati come out on top. They get that questionable touchdown. They're taking the lead, and the Rams' offense was in a stalemate. But then that defense started turning it up, and you don't get the credit. They didn't get the attention. What I'm saying as typically as an offensive player. So offense, defensive player, I think is always biased. In that regards, defense got to walk on water to get recognized for them to win the MVP,
It's hard to discount a 15-play drive in Hollywood. So, that's the storybook ending. They won't remember the defensive side to close out the game. They're only going to remember that 15-play drive in 20 years. That's what'll live on the NFL Films history reel.
Wow.
Well, you look, yeah. Go ahead, Caleb.
Oh, no. I was just saying wow to that.
Yeah.
Because I think we need to shift. It was some basketball played last night.
Oh yeah. I want to correct. So I was saying it was 3 non-quarterbacks MVP. That's not true. I remember what I was hoping to say. It was 1 out of the past 15 years, and the last one to do that, I think, was was what I said that the running back. Yeah,
Marshall.
AP. No, 2012. AP. 2012. But 15-year span has only been 1 running back.
And somehow the NBA continues to show every other league. They show them up in every form or fashion. Somehow they were able to put up 100 over 160 points, both of them, and the game still go down to the last shot. Like who does that? And then they bring out the 75th greatest players. So it's a star-studded event. Even the all-stars are in awe. And then they put on a show like that, and of course LeBron gonna do what LeBron do here at Lakers. So that's my team. And But Steph Curry won the MVP with 16 threes, man. This is on a night that was huge and monumental. LeBron talked about what it meant to him after the game. I don't understand how the Pro Bowl cannot matter and the All-Star game just show what the entire NBA is all about.
Yeah. That's what, and you're right. They definitely did a lot of creativity, as far as with that All-Star game. Because when you look at it in the first 3 quarters, it's just like they're not really nobody's playing defense, and you're like it reminds you of the NFL Pro Bowl because nobody playing defense, as far as they're not really tackling, they're not really trying to defend, right? They're just just free fall. It's like NFL, it was like a 7-on-7 the entire game, and NBA felt that way, whatever that's equivalent to for the first 3 quarters. But yet when they got in that 4th quarter and they turned, then that's when it's like, okay, let's go. And it ended up, being a great finish. It's not how you start, but it's how you finish. You know what I'm saying?
And think about it. That's not our NBA All-Star, right? They changed 2 things. First of all, they made it positionless basketball like they talk about. So remember, we were like, Roy Hibbert was an All-Star. You know what I'm saying? Because they had to have a center position. They got that out of there, right? Yeah. Probably 6 years ago, maybe more. Drop that. And then they said it's stillborn. Why don't we let these All-Stars pick their All-Stars? Yep. And it created a whole nother level. Now it's about, man, he didn't pick me. You know what I mean? I wasn't the first pick, or you went to him instead of picking me. I was still on the board. So it brings a little bit of animosity. So it really makes you look at it like it's a true pickup game nowadays.
Listen, you didn't even have Durant in the building because he had the best night of the All-Star and not picking Harden, and they saving him for the last pick. LBJ got LeBron got the best laughed out of that.
Right.
So,
I think it's definitely like you say, K-Lou, just the NBA, just the fact of how they make it change that work. Understanding what's going on with the players, how they really want to protect themselves, not trying to get anybody hurt, and then they work around it. But like you said, the changes they do to try to make it exciting.
Right.
But and I definitely admire that. And I'm just trying to think from an NFL standpoint. NFL is trying to do it, with you look at the skill challenge and whatnot, right? Yeah. And they're trying to do it. They got the dodgeball. They got, the crate. They trying to do something with the receivers, catching the catch and doing different catch. They had the little sprint race. I don't know how long the race was, maybe 40 yards or something like that. And so they're trying to do those things like that. But the actual game itself, I'm trying, right. And it's almost like, how do you do that? Because now, because of the injury that somebody had before, I'm assuming like players like, whoa, man, I ain't taking a chance, and rightfully so. But how can you turn up the intensity on that to get that more juice? I don't know,
Well, cut the game and make it about the weekend. Completely cut the game and build up on the activities that you were speaking of and put money behind it, put charities behind it, put fans behind it. But if that's if that's all you're gonna get, cut it, because they scored over 160 points and it went down to the last shot. That don't even make sense. It doesn't make sense whatsoever. And they're able to do that year after year after year. And we're still, remember what went down? The dunk contest, right?
That's the most amazing thing. That's the only thing you would ever talk about in the old days from an all-star contest. Now that was a joke.
Right. Well, the dunk and the 3-point, we still talked about. The dunk was number 1, 3-point was number 2.
Right.
Correct. But now that's kind of shifted, and the 3-point is more important.
Right.
But every couple years we get a Zach LaVine and a Gordon. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden the level is raised. Right. And so somehow they're able to, and they still have the skills challenge and involve the WNBA, and then they said that wasn't enough and involve some of the old all-stars. They just get it.
Yeah,
they absolutely get it.
they involved they started HBUC Classic. They had a classic basketball game that went on too. So that was good. And then
it's a little easier to do.
Definitely do that. But Jason, let me ask you a question. K-Lou, his suggestion is cut the game from the NFL standpoint. What would you do? Like, what's your thoughts?
I agree with the cut the game because you can't. I mean, football is football because it's football. Right. So what are you even running the ball for in the Pro Bowl? And so if you're going to just take that out, okay, well then now what's the the whole thing in there? So I personally, what I would do is if you're going to have any team-based game at all, just have some sort of series of college-style overtime. Something quick. The intensity is up because it's not some whole 4 quarters. You know what I mean? And have, like K-Lou said, some charity on the line. And then with the skill-based challenge, have a series of 2-minute drills. You know what I mean? Still 11 on 11, maybe, but, in addition to the college type overtime where each team gets the ball on the 25-yard line, you know what I mean? And you play 5 or 6 drives, but you can't play a whole game because it's just not the actual game. It would be like in the NBA if they're just slow dribbling and then tossing it from half court. So I think you do some 2-minute drives, maybe some college style overtimes. But then you got to do, the skill challenge is cool and all, but you need to have more. It needs to be more of an event. It needs to have more, like baseball's got the home run derby. Right. Basketball's got the slam dunk contest.
Right.
I think Curry deserved it because, good gosh, he obliterated the 3-point record. I just want to touch on that. But that's the only thing. The Pro Bowl is not a football game. You have guys going through the motions, having a good time, cracking jokes. So if the very best show that you're showcasing of your league isn't doing the thing you do, yep. Like what do they do in NASCAR? But they actually race. They actually do like a race. Football is the only sport where you're all just going through the motions and it's not frowned upon. Like, gosh, man, arm tackles and everybody's laughing about it.
Well, it is frowned upon, Jason. We don't watch it. We don't talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just act like it never happened. So I think that's worse than frowned upon.
Well, they turned it. They did it the week before the Super Bowl, where it used to be the week after, and it was the incentive was to go to Hawaii, right?
Right.
Now is that an incentive anymore, or is that a
According to the guys, they dropping out left and right. Nowadays, they don't care anymore. So they're even not. There's nothing on the line. You ain't going there to see who got the biggest arm in football. Right. You ain't going there to see who really is unguardable. You know what I mean? A one-on-one event.
I like the 7-on-7 idea, and I let the players choose their teams and play flag and see what it looks like. They tried it years ago in the sand, and Robert Edwards blew out his knee, but you're playing in the sand. That kind of, but you could have that kind of injury truthfully anywhere. Right.
Yeah, so but
didn't Dion and Jerry try the choose your team thing?
Say what?
Didn't Dion and Jerry try that choose your team thing a couple years back?
Yeah, they was. I remember they was captains of teams or something like that.
That was a little interesting, but
they was trying. Yeah, but I think like you're right. But I think because you think about it, I remember back in the day, Sean Taylor blowing up the punter. The physicality, and I think now players are like, man, it's not worth it to get hurt. And I think that the injury factor, plays a lot into the intensity at that point. Guys ain't trying to hurt each other. They, trying to, hey, his brother-in-law playing it safe. It's like a modified scout team. Going to scout team. So, and I understand from a player standpoint, it's just now what you get them to do. Like the NBA, they're doing the same thing for the first 3 periods or quarters, whatever you call it. But the 4th quarter, they turn it up. How can you get the NFL to turn it up? You talked about charity. Yeah, that would help to some place, but to overcome that injury factor and where guys are like going at it, I don't know if you can at this point. Guys are too smart for that.
See, I'm not, and that's why Jason and I both aren't talking about a game. We're talking about, skills, many type things within that. So you're not really playing a game, but you may be doing a 7-on-7 type look, like with a 2-minute type of drill. But then, like I said, like all through the year, we hear about who's the baddest DB, who's the baddest receiver, who will lock down anybody, who Revis Island. Didn't we want to see if it really was a Revis Island? You know, didn't we want to put T.O. on Revis Island? That's what I'm saying. Like, we would watch that kind of stuff. And MB and I both would tell you some of the most like best football was when in training camp, our one-on-ones, if you had some really legit DBs, but more importantly, when we scrimmaged the team, we would stop our little silly one-on-ones and running back and linebacker and turn around and start looking at those DBs and receivers. If we wanted to watch it,
everyone else would.
I know everybody, all the NFL fans would want to see that kind of stuff. And you got the best available doing that. It'll be guys trying to go to the Pro Bowl just because of that.
What's amazing is look at the ratings the combine gets.
Right.
You know, and that's by position. And that's a boring Indianapolis with, these guys running shuttle drills or running the crossing patterns, with the receiver catching from each side.
Right.
Those are good drills.
Right. Pass rushing drills, live pass rushing drills.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Man, them dudes, man, they'll go crazy. Them outside linebackers.
Well, you could even make it a little, to borrow from Dade County, like the turnover chain. You know what I mean? If you're telling me that if there isn't an award that carries that whole next year, you know what I mean? The shutdown corner, the uncoverable receiver.
Right.
Now, and the money is pennies. I mean, 80 and 40 to these players, nobody cares. But if so now you're not having to spend that money on so many players now. I hate to take the lineman out of it, but unless you do something a little different, but you're going to have to kick up the money.
You can do one-on-ones. O-linemen do one-on-ones, and D-linemen do one-on-ones as well. You can get it. Hey, we also watch that.
I'm just saying, from financially speaking, you're going to have to kick up that money. I mean, you have to. I mean, but it's going to have to be kicked up so much. It's going to get expensive. And just hope that the ratings boost makes up for it. What do you think the money would need to be? Because right now it's 80 to win, 40 to show. Nobody cares. What's it going to have to be?
Yeah, I don't think it. What we're talking about, keep the money pretty much the same for everybody getting there. You know what I mean? But of course, the guys who win these awards get extra. But it's really going to be about the awards, like you said. They're not. Man, listen, guys are prideful. Like they want to be the best. And if you put them in a situation, man, the guys who you think would shut it down, them gonna be the main ones trying to say, hey, look, I told y'all I was the baddest thing when I stepped off this plane. They want to prove that. And that's all you got to do is put all of them alphas. Put them in the room and say the baddest man, come out with this dog bone. And somebody coming out of there with it. Trust me.
Yeah, I agree in that standpoint because when you was talking about eliminate the game, I agree with that standpoint. Doing the one-on-ones, as far as DBs and corners, and see that linebackers, running back, O-line, D-line, maybe the 7. But I as a traditionalist, I'm like, I'm before we just trash, dump the game. I'm like, what can we do to get to I still like the game. You feel me? Like to play the game.
Yeah.
Because you could do those other things on another day, on a day before or something like that. But I'm just trying to think. My question is like, instead of just dumping the game, what can we do to get it going? Obviously, Jason, I agree with Jason. The money aspect, raising that up. You got to have bait. So what's the bait that guys looking at? Look, man, this ain't worth me getting hurt. So I ain't trying to do it. And they keeping that same tempo. So if you increase the pay, that would help. But I'm just trying to think of other creative ideas where you can get guys to play hard. Even if it's just for the fourth quarter, right there. Like, all right, we about to go now. It's a scrimmage now. We don't practice all day. We got goal line scrimmage. Let's go. There
you go. It's situational football. Yeah, it's the only way you can do it. Yeah, where it's scripted.
I don't know.
Where it's scripted, MB. You know what I mean? Like a practice. Like you're gonna do 7-on-7, and then you're gonna go to inside. You see what I'm saying? Because again, now you get to feature what it is you do. And and then you go to 2 minute, the whole 9, and then you go to goal line, short yardage goal line. I think if you script it, then you could get this out of them. But yeah, I get you. But that 4 quarters thing is gone.
If they script it, I don't think if it's involved the physical contact, because I don't know how long it's been now since they just like stopped hitting each other. It's
been a while.
I don't see that doing it like situations.
Like if they doing you know good well they do 907. It's a wrap. You're not gonna be the guy getting run through. I bet that, and that's what's gonna be on everybody's mind. He made it all.
I tell you what if the players themselves scripted? Like, what if somebody drew up like Patrick Mahomes do it with 12 seconds? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what if things like that?
You're actually almost overthinking it. I mean, the NBA did it last night. They showed you with FanDuel. They're doing proposition bets. How many 3-pointers is Steph Curry going to have? What's going to be the over/under by quarter? The online sports betting is already doing it. Let them set the prop bets for whatever the skills are or whatever the situational football is.
That's not going to get the athletes.
They idiots. But I'm
talking about what's going to get the athletes to turn it up.
But they're doing it.
I think the only thing, I think money, even in this situation, I don't think they'll get them to shift out that mindset where they ain't trying to hit somebody, I don't know.
It's like Michael Jordan and Cool Hand Luke. He'll bet on anything, man.
But I'm just saying, so what I got to do with a player, I'm saying from a player standpoint, okay, a lot of the bet, what I got to do with a player, like now
when they went to
somebody hurt somebody,
when they went to in the NBA it's different because they're not playing tackle, but in the NBA they showed you the locker room. These guys all had money on the table because they're playing cards against each other while in between whatever the practice was or whatever they're getting ready for the game. So it just they don't hide it anymore, which I just, to me, is mind blowing. But I guess that's what 2022 is all about now. It's just everything's in plain sight. So I don't know.
We'll shift and keep it with basketball because guess what? The biggest story in basketball is in Ann Arbor, baby. Miami Heat's on, Michigan's on.
While Spoelstra and his entire coaching staff are coaching the All-Star, this guy's throwing punches.
Yeah, Juwan Howard had a little problem at the end of the game against Wisconsin. Him and the head coach from Wisconsin called a couple timeouts at the end of the game after they were blowing out Michigan, basically. And Juwan Howard took offense to it. He told them about it during the time when they were shaking hands at the scores table. And
it escalated.
Juwan says that basically he said the guy grabbed his arm to kind of snatch him back to hear what he had to say as they were walking past. He said he took offense to that, told him about it. Another coach came up. They separated Juwan, and he went and said bye-bye, slapped the other assistant coach. I'm going to throw this out here, man. And y'all know I'm pretty cut and dry. I tell you what it is. They got to fire him. It's over with. I think Jay Williams said they should suspend him for the rest of the season. I don't think that's enough. The kids got into a scuffle afterwards, and that's what we got to get away from. I've been dogging out these college coaches, especially with their antics and how these colleges are putting wins over the character of these kids. At the end of the day, he made a stupid mistake, and he should have to pay for
it. Just from watching the video, first thing, the most egregious part of it is what was that, like an overhand, like lady scrap? Like, I don't even know. If you're gonna throw a punch, throw a punch. I don't know. That was just a very. I think that shows really just how out of control of his emotions he was. And I'm not just saying that to be funny. If you truly watch it, it looks like the whole thing was an afterthought of.
Hey, hold on a second, Jason. Let me call timeout real quick. Dave, yeah, he said this. Hey, this guy played with that UM. Hey, before you go, Dave, yeah, we usually comment sometime on him. But based on what you're saying, we usually comment on certain comments and stuff. But we just flowing with it. But your one comment about the NFL Pro Bowl mid-season like some other people do it. I still don't think that's going to make a difference. Even now, I mean, I wouldn't want to play no Pro Bowl if I'm an NFL player mid-season.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even. I mean, because the season
going to be less.
Yeah, it's going to be even less. Like a lot of people ain't going to be going just because of fear of injuries, and the coaches wouldn't approve of it just because of injury. I think the injury factor is so huge in the NFL that's why. Far as the contact. And like I said, it used to be smash mouth football with Sean Taylor blowing up the thing. I think Market, what's the linebacker from the Dallas Cowboys say, man, I'm going to blow somebody up like Sean Taylor. He made reference to that this year. But
the rookie?
They're just not doing it. They taking care of each other, which is smart from a player standpoint. So anyway, I just want to make sure we acknowledge what you're saying, but we definitely, we do usually comment on something if something catch our eye. All right, man, be good, bro. Later. Go ahead, Jason. I'm sorry. I just want to address.
No,
that.
so K. Lou was talking about what the repercussions are for Juwan Howard and I think he's a state employee because it's University of Michigan, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, listen, even if the guy said something to him verbally to light that ignition, the first thing is he was bent out of shape that they were calling a timeout and they were up 14. As a head coach, you got to eat that, and you take that with you back into the locker room, and you say, "Hey, guys, man, they're rubbing that in your face. It's tournament time coming up. You got to use that as a teaching moment, not to lose self-control and expose yourself.
Hey, just to piggyback on that, the last year we won the Natty at Duke. Clemson beat us by 20 or 30 at Clemson.
Yeah.
And at the end of the game, Coach K called the timeout, brought his team up, and made them look at the score.
Yeah, exactly right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just to piggyback on what you said.
Well, let me be devil advocate on this, right? What about I remember when Miami playing Notre Dame, and back in the day, Jimmy Johnson was there.
They
ran it up, running the score up on him.
Yep.
And everybody was sad. They run and score on me. People take offense to that. It's catch-22.
But that was on the field.
I'm like you from a coach standpoint. I'm like, look, we need to play better so we won't put ourselves in that
situation. Yeah, it is. That's what Coach K said. Take a picture of this. Remember this. Yeah.
No doubt. But also, I seen the other side of it where, man, like Miami, Jimmy Johnson come to mind where they running it up, He was running up the score, and it was bad. Why they running up the score?
Keep running it up.
No, but I'm just saying, though, he said, man, what am I supposed to do? My players playing. I got my backups in. Well, tell them not to score. They got an opportunity to play. They run and play. But you see that frowned upon, too, though. You see guys, man, they shouldn't do that. That's not class.
But you don't swing at them.
Take offense to that.
You don't take a swing.
You see both sides.
I don't see it because you're not holding back. You're not holding back from winning. You know what I mean? And that's all playing hard is winning. And whether it's your third team or your first team, you want to playing winning football, winning basketball, whatever it is. You want them playing at that level. That's not. You don't practice for that. You know what I'm saying?
Juwan wasn't thinking like a coach. He was thinking like he was a player and he was getting his best Rick Mahorn on.
And see here, but here's the problem: if you building a program, right, then you got to have dogs in your program. So your players need to be straightening their guys, their own team, saying, "Look, we ain't going for this. We gonna play to the horn blows. We're gonna go hard." Not we gonna go hurt somebody, but we gonna play very physical.
Right.
We gonna play very physical until this horn goes off because we see they don't care anything about us. They being disrespectful. That's how you handle it. But as a coach, you can't play anymore. But you gotta drive in that kind of attitude on your team.
I think the fact that he was already the animated one, I think he's just. There's no defense of an indefensible position. So had he not been so animated first, then discussion, then he could have led. Nobody grabbed him, by the way, I watched. So it just, what I mean?
He said somebody, he touched him. He did touch him, but it wasn't
the guy he swung at.
Huh? No, it was the guy went to explain to him, and he put his hand on his chest.
Guard had put his hand on how his elbow to try to keep him there. So that is kind of a grab. I mean, I don't know.
And then look at the video because Howard, I saw one thing. He was like, "Well, he touched me. I had to film myself. You don't touch me." Like he was making a bit, but I was like, the guy didn't touch him with like
malice.
To me, with malice, right?
You're right.
He didn't touch him at all.
No, he was there right there, right there. He turned to him and went to explain it. And when he touched him, that's one thing you'll do when somebody upset.
Right.
Don't touch him at all.
Right.
It just don't touch him.
But he didn't.
It makes him even more crazy.
Hey, if that guy grabbed him, it was 10 seconds before.
When he grabbed how like. Okay, Luke, can you show the video? Are you able to put it on? I can't do it on my iPad.
It wasn't even that.
Can you share it?
Yeah,
I'm about to.
That was the initial touch thing, but it's the assistant who got up and started chapping and chirping in his face and antagonized him. That's who he went back as a 6'10" dude, and he took a little slap at him.
Yeah.
What in his face? There was like, watch it. This guy. What? Yeah.
It wasn't.
No, it was the other guy that hit. See, watch.
Right.
Yeah. And he's saying something to him. See how he grabbed
You saw that on.
Grab his elbow.
Yeah, he stopped him.
Yeah, but he's not trying to grab him with mouth. He's trying to like talk to him because Howard walking away. He's still walking. He's trying to get his attention.
Yeah.
You see the touch.
Well, we don't know what he's saying.
Well, how based on this? Hold on a second. They don't tell you what the guy's saying, but here's what they pick up close. The one thing said, Howard, he said, I'll remember this, right? That's what
he tried to walk by him. He didn't want to shake his hand.
Yeah, right. And he said, I'll remember this. And he tried to talk to him, right? Look at it. That's where he grabbed his arm, trying to talk to him, get his attention. That's where I'm looking. I don't know. But I don't know what he's saying to him,
Let it keep playing though. Hold on.
See, Howard grabbed his Howard grabbed his
and he's pointing. He was already getting a little Nancy.
Why did he get
this guy started saying something.
This guy said something he shouldn't have said.
He running his mouth.
What?
And that's what triggered
kind of Nancy throw. Watch it. What? Press play. That was what was that?
Hey, some cameraman got a good shot. You see the flash?
Hey, K-Lou will get this.
They thought it was Detroit and Ron Artest. You're back in the Palace, man. 15 years later.
Hey, K-Lou, that swing was more Andrew Silverman than Anderson Silva. You know what I'm saying? He should be fired for that. But there's no.
He slapped him. He didn't hit him
watch. Go ahead.
No, I was saying he slapped him. He didn't really.
It wasn't even a slap. It was like a scratch. He scratched him. That man clawed that man. That was.
But then look at the kids, guys. After this,
right. The kids was that created
and that's why he should be fired, MB, because of what happens after the fact.
Yeah,
what if a kid's entire career?
Fight. I mean, it's mayhem after that. Look at that. I mean,
I mean, that's your coach. Somebody. I mean, and in the heat of the moment, all you hear is secondhand. Somebody swung at coach. Somebody swung. Oh no, they didn't. But what if some kid goes in and his whole career is gone because of that? Because of that.
What's amazing? We no longer see the coach who got slapped. He backpedaled right out of there after they got real.
Yeah, I just hate for him to get fired.
Me too. But I got to toe the line, man. I've been against these college coaches. Your boy at Texas.
You got to set an example.
Second, third chance. He can't even drive around them and coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have some standards. If how you going to sit in my living room? I don't understand these parents. Like, what you expecting if you go send your child off to situations like that? So Jawan showing that, he's a hothead. Look what happened to his team. They followed suit. Like, that's what you're doing. You know, and there ain't no rewinding that, man. At the end of the day,
you can't put that back in the game.
Yeah.
Hey, that dude he swung at, I mean, he's no pushover. Dude played in the league, 6'7". You know, so
He backpedaled though, Jason. He tried to get out of there. He ran up in there to talk trash, and then you start backpedaling.
Look, he got people on him. Look, watch the video. 10 people got him. I mean, look, they're both childish. Whatever the guy said, look, there's no way he wasn't out of line. There's no way he didn't say something well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So they're both terrible humans. I'm not absolving the other guy because if you're gonna, man, you go step into the kitchen, it gets a little hot. So
if you remember on the 30-30, the Catholics versus convicts with Miami Notre Dame, there's the classic Lou Holtz line, you know, save Jimmy Johnson for me. That was him that was him riling up his team, you know. Yeah. But it got them. You know what Jimmy would have done to that little elf?
Where he got the list from. Save Jimmy Johnson for me. I can't even do a good lisp impression. He's crazy.
Lou Holtz knew MMA, baby. He would have got him in his. He'd have put Jimmy in a submission.
The point being is,
if he'd have messed up Jimmy hair, Jimmy would have really killed him.
Yeah. Man, point being is, your head coach has got to be in control, man, and you got to take that ammunition into your locker room. That's got to be a teaching moment, and you know you're playing for the tournament, not for whatever that game was. That wasn't for the Big Ten title, was it?
And he had no, because he's doing really bad this year, and they were supposed to be really good, and they got an awesome class coming in next year. So he's kind of blown it a little bit this year. So it's a little frustration. Also, he had a similar little scrap, a scuff up last year. I think it was in Indiana, I want to believe. But him and the coach got into it, you know, while coaching, and they didn't get the fisticuffs or anything like that, but the verbal abuse got, you know, enough where the refs had to get involved and stop it. So again, you start, and he's only been there 3 years now. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this ain't good. This is a guy that really hasn't shown where he can really handle his emotions, you know, at this elite level. And when I say that, I mean like at the point where you're gonna be on TV every night, regardless of who you playing and where you playing. That's what I mean by elite level. Like the spotlight is on you. So you think him being an NBA guy, know that the camera's always on him, and to know that and still be able to act like this, like that's shocking to me.
Like I said, he could have been in Cleveland on Spoelstra's team coaching that All-Star weekend, and maybe he was upset he wasn't in Cleveland and that he's sitting there coaching some college basketball game right now. You know, if you want to look in the back of his mind, but you know, you can't get into the psychology of that. But he showed he's not qualified to be a head coach, is what he showed.
Did they just break that he's suspended the rest of the season? Because the link that I just found is 17 minutes old.
Probably.
Maybe because I told you Jay Williams has suggested rest of the season. I think it should be, you know.
It just broke.
Call it career.
Yeah, it just broke. Breaking news.
Yeah.
Here on Sideline to Baseline.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't want him to get suspended. I mean, I want him to get fired for this, man.
Right.
I bet I can change your mind, MB. You want to know why?
Talk to me. Change my mind. Come on, come on, persecutor. Come on, what? Make your case, baby. Make your case.
His post-game news conference
was not helpful.
He doubled down. He didn't apologize. Go ahead.
He's yet to apologize. So now he's not even at the very, very least showing his kids, you know what I mean? Hey, I'm a man. Men make mistakes. I'm going to learn from it. My God, be a coach. Be a coach. Stop being Juwan Howard. Be a coach right now and show we all fall. We all ride. It's about how you ride. He ain't even doing that. Right now, he's just being, I did it. Like, what is that? Like, that's not that.
You know who'll give you the voice of reason is Jalen. Did he talk about it this morning on his show?
I didn't catch Jalen, but I was hoping.
See if we can find that.
Yeah.
Hey, I was hoping that between Jalen and Chris Webber, they mend their issues because both of them are super cool and super close with Jawan, but they don't like each other.
What kind of success has he had? Fill me in. I mean, how's he done at Michigan? I mean, has he got some money in the bank there from like a success standpoint?
Jawan got one of the first $100 million contracts in the NBA that they voided.
No. His success as a coach at Michigan. How is he doing?
Yes, last year
he did really well last year.
Yes, last year. And that was only like year 2. And his recruit, like he's brought Michigan on the map recruiting wise. Michigan's never like, in the basketball world, you start, football, top 5, top 10, Michigan's, they're rarely there.
And he's on a short list, just so we're clear, to be an NBA head coach whenever he wants to go back.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I know, if you guys notice, the college mishaps don't really affect you in the NBA. So he could easily go back to the NBA and eventually become a head basketball coach there. But yeah, I think from a college standpoint, he's not ready when it comes to, obviously he's proven that. I mean, X's and O's recruiting, he's excellent at all that, but to handle his emotions, and then he doesn't have, and I always say this, MB, where a lot of guys neglect this, especially, I think it's important on the NFL staff and the NBA staff. You need somebody that you respect and look up to, and when they speak, you listen. Those are the guys you also need somewhere around you, because those are the guys that are going to be able to say, hey, man, chill, and you're going to stop when that happens. Especially when you're a guy like, Jawan is. Like, he has to get that guy. But if all the guys on the bench are yes, sir, like, you could be out of control. But you need that guy that's been sitting on benches for, 40 years. And you like, man, I need you there to just, speak to me at certain times. You need that.
Yeah,
so do you think this is the hammer that's
like, it's like one of it's like one of those coaches, like you see your boy, the coaches, they got a habit of being on the field and they got this coach behind them pulling them off.
Pull back, the get back coach.
The get back coach.
That's what he needed.
They got somebody assigned to him to get him back,
Mm-hmm. I mean, but is this it? Is it just suspended the rest of the year? You think it won't go no further, or do you think he gets fired? He can still get fired.
Oh, I think he can still get fired. I don't want him to get fired, but I think he still can get fired. You talking about 5 games rest of the year? They're not doing well anyway. I think he could still get fired. I don't think it's over with.
There is no NCAA anymore as far as authority. They don't have the weight that they do.
Because this is really him throwing a temper tantrum, y'all, because they were unsuccessful this year. And it wasn't about another coach calling no timeout. Yeah. It just wasn't. It was about all the frustration of everybody had you, repeating like you did last year. I think they ended up being Big Ten champs, that kind of stuff. And then you lay an egg. I think they're 14-11. I think it was. So they had a horrible year up compared to the year they were supposed to have. And then with the year that they had, even his son is coming there next year. You know what I'm saying? They got a great recruiting class coming in next year. And all of a sudden, you're supposed to be taking these steps to become an elite program. And then you lay an egg. And I think that was just a culmination of the entire year. And then old boy say, yeah, I'm going to make you fester in it. Well, you just got to take a picture of it. Do what Coach K did. Call the timeout. Remember these fools? They called call the timeout with 3 seconds on the clock. Remember this. Take a picture. Write it down. Okay?
Because you're going to see him in the. You're going to
here. That's what I want you to remember.
You're going to see him in the. You're going to see him in the Big Ten tournament, and they might need to win that game to go to get in the tournament. And your year might hinge on just knocking them back out.
Right.
So.
But MB, if your son was in Michigan right now and he ain't apologizing, let's say he sticks with it. Let's say he don't act like it. Let's say he does not take any opportunity to act like a coach throughout, at any moment. you still don't want him to get fired? If he just acts like, yeah, I did it. I threw a girl punch. I threw a little girl swing at a grown man. You still don't want him fired if you don't own up to it?
No, well, to answer the question, no. I mean, like if he don't own up to it, right, then obviously it's not going to end well for him, right? So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I mean he's got to go because he's wrong. Like he's wrong. I just hate to see from a personal level,
Absolutely,
because I think he's great.
Huge
for
fan of Juwan.
And then I mean, so I just from that standpoint,
how's nobody getting to him right now and telling him?
You say what?
He ain't picking up no phone calls.
Well, I'm just saying that when that incident like that happened, and that's the point K-Lou was talking about. He needs some people not around him like yes people. He needs some people to tell him the truth. Like, hey man, because I always says when I was playing, I would say I got enough fans. I need some friends. I need somebody to tell me I got a booger in my nose. Your breath stink. I need you to fix it. And that's what he needs. Some type of somebody around him. Say, hey bro, that knows him. Even then, like, yo, hey, don't do it. And then like the talks of reason. And then when as soon as that happened, somebody should have got to him, say, look, whether I don't know if the AD was at the game, somebody need to pull him and say, look, hey, before you go to this press conference, this is what needs to happen. Yeah. This is what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Clean it up.
I always thought, besides it being a retirement payout for him as well, but we'd always have super old school coaches that had done this already, been head coaches or DCs or OCs around like the team. And I always thought that was their role, MB. Like to be there. Yeah, to be there for those coordinators or even head coach to say, hey, you can't do it like that. You got to say this or you got to do that. Why? Because they had done it 20 years before them.
Look up who his assistants are, and you'll see who he surrounded himself with, and that tells you what kind of leader he is. I mean, Spoelstra's got Bob McAdoo sitting down there, and
like when Bob speaks, you gonna say yes, sir. Yeah. You the head coach.
you need some.
K-Lou, I just sent you Jalen Rose comment. I mean, I can't hear. I just sent it to you.
Okay.
Pull that up and see what Jalen said. I didn't listen to it because I'm curious what he said. Go ahead. You talking, Jason. I'm sorry.
Well, it's got that to me, like what you just said, surrounded himself by. That's got to be at the program level. The program's got to have some employment, in my opinion, of some of the, not to sound corny, but the OGs like K. Lou is talking about, because obviously Juwan Howard's not choosing to surround himself with these people. So, you know what I mean? It needs to be kind of like a grandfathered in or like a.
Which is wild because he spent 10 years in Miami, which is what everyone points to in any professional sport. Culture. This is how they run things.
Yeah,
and it's a certain mindset. And you would think he would have took some of what he learned there and brought that on the college level.
Whoa. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. You talking about Miami culture? Come on. Like Miami culture would foster that.
No, I'm not saying the city of Miami. Miami Heat culture.
No, I'm talking about the Miami Heat culture would foster that. Hold on, you forget who now you can look at
it's Riley.
Right. Pat Riley, my New York Knicks. I mean, how many fights they used to get into? I mean,
different era.
Huh?
But
nothing's coming through.
Huh? But Riley wouldn't do that as a coach on the college level.
Email it.
You want me to email it? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll email it. But
I don't know what my phone is.
with Pat Riley, that whole mindset, especially when he went to the Knicks and his teams, man, they was physical.
Yeah, listen.
He was all about that physicality.
You had the Heat Knicks.
That toughness.
You had Van Gundy wrapped around Alonzo's leg, if you remember, in the 90s. In those playoffs.
I'm just saying, though, Pat Riley, Pat Riley, it's not. It wasn't a turn the other cheek culture with Pat Riley. It wasn't that.
What I'm saying,
I just jumped in when you said that. It's just like, whoa! I remember all the fight they had.
You just mean more the culture of it.
They had a fight this year with Morris, the guy when he pushed the big goon in Denver.
Oh yeah,
and he got chucked from behind. I mean, they were ready to go scrap it out in the tunnel after. Yeah. But somebody stepped in and said, "Hey guys, time to turn it off." You know.
I mean, it's just like the things that you love about Juwan, because Juwan out of the crew, you know, I guess he was the more, I guess you could say, mild mannered. You know what I'm saying? You always kind of looked at him a little different, you know.
Right, absolutely.
But I mean, the things you love about him as a coach, because he brings a player's perspective to it in that regard. So I know you'll want to play for him because you feel like he's out there on the court with you. He's going to fight for you, stuff like that. That's the thing that, you know, that end up biting you in the butt in this situation, just because, you know, he took that personal, what the guy did, calling a timeout with 15 seconds left. But even the guy reason for calling timeout makes sense too as well. But he just took it the wrong way, got offended, and man, but I'm with you, Jason. He's got to come out and he's got to get PR this thing. He's gonna have to save his job. He's gonna have to do some management control, something. Make sure you turn the sound on, K-Lou, with the.
Yeah, I got one other way, but.
Yeah. So, but. Yeah, he's gonna have to. He's definitely wrong.
I
want to see what Jalen said.
Badgers and your childhood friend Juwan Howard was a major part of it. You've known him almost all your life. What happened here with Juwan?
So I can't lie, Jacoby. This is the actual first time I've talked about this topic, and in the aftermath, I wouldn't lie into a microphone to tell you I didn't shed a couple of tears after this incident. And you know me extremely well. And when I say that, what that means to me and why it was so painful for me. And I want to just count the ways why this incident was so very painful for me. I wish this wouldn't have happened on so many different levels, and let me explain to you why. First and foremost, shout to Michael Finley, who was there to get his number retired. Proviso East, Illinois. We went to Wisconsin as freshmen, and he and Tracy Webster waxed us then. And I sat with Juwan, Ray, Chris, and Jimmy, and understood how to overcome that turbulence because it's a part of the game. And so, as I look at the adults in this situation, the head coaches, Juwan and Coach Gard, they're both going to look back at this scenario and tell themselves things that they shouldn't have done and things they won't do going forward. And you know how I like to look at scenarios. I don't judge by what people say. I go by what they're going to do going forward. And so let me project with the Wisconsin coaches and the Michigan coaches are going to do different going forward. And of course, Juwan deserves to be punished. And he will be punished, but I do not believe that it's a fireable offense. First and foremost, when you're waxing the Michigan Wolverines, you don't necessarily have to call timeout to rub it in. You can though. Like, I'm not mad at the unwritten rules. I was a member of the 5-5. We already know how it is. Throw it off the backboard. In the Big Ten, Michigan is the story program in that conference. So when people beat us, they're going to have an extra little enthusiasm towards it. I know that. As somebody that grew up in Detroit, went to Michigan, played there, I'm a season ticket holder and an alum, and Juwan knows that too. When you're walking past after you just beat Michigan and you see that the other head coach is upset, you know what you probably shouldn't do that I don't believe that their coach will do again? Impede that person's progress.
Let him go.
The second thing I don't think he would do again is grab that human being while he's impeding that person's progress, because that physical altercation now changes the dynamic of our interaction. As a human being, we both know once you start putting your hands on me, that starts to change what you've said and what you've done. But once he puts his hands on him, and all of a sudden it becomes an altercation, Juwan set him straight. He told him multiple times, don't put your hands on me. Don't put your hands on me. Don't put your hands on me. So I think he was kind of straightened out. The assistant coach coming to his head coach's defense for Wisconsin, you know, trying to get through the scrum, did put his hands on the Michigan player a little aggressively, and Juwan, being defensive of his player, then what I call overreacted. And when he overreacted, he smacked the assistant coach upside the head. That's something that he knows he can't do. That's something that he would not do if that situation happened again. Now, after that, when there's an altercation with both of the teams, that's also both sides knowing something that can't, shouldn't, and won't happen again. Because you got to find ways to control yourself. Michigan when you're getting waxed, Wisconsin when you're winning the game. So I think it's going to be a lesson to be learned for everyone involved. I'm not going to act like this is the worst thing or even close to remotely one of the worst things that I've seen coaches do. And I've seen coaches threaten to kill another coach. I've seen coaches have multiple allegations to get other jobs. It just happens. Like, these human beings are at work, and it's the heat of the battle. And sometimes the heat of the battle, your cup overflows. And that happens with Juwan. And I got to say this. I was watching recently the Janet Jackson documentary, and it reminded me of when Michael was going through his allegations, his sister and his family members who love him are now in a position to talk about what just happened with their brother. Like me right now with Juwan, right? And so there's going to be a lot of people who never liked him, that never liked us, that never liked me, that are going to now take this as an opportunity to slander him, to slander all of us. And here's what I'll say. He made a mistake. He made a bad decision. And I'm not speaking for him like Janet couldn't speak for Michael. I'm speaking for me. And here's what I got to say. I'm sorry and apologize that it happened, because I know his head. I know his heart. And I know what he's about and the kind of character that he has as a human being. And I know that that was a lapse of judgment. And through that, yes, he's going to get punished. But I think ultimately, as we move on and graduate, there are going to be people on both sides that look back at this scenario and realize what they could have done different, including Juwan, obviously.
He should have only said the last 30 seconds. The rest of that was absurd. that was, Michael Jackson, you're going there? What is that? He brought up the mic.
MB, he made it worse. And,
Talk to me, tell me.
I mean, he played brother-in-law all the way through it. At least he admitted that. But at the end of the day, man, like, you did what he should have did. And that's what he's trying to do now for him. Apologize. But never once during that action, and then I didn't see the post game, but you guys are telling me he didn't apologize. But never once through that activity did it look like he was trying to rein himself in. He had lost it. And it's like Jalen saying, basically, since that's not the worst thing I've ever seen, then it's not a fireable offense. That's basically what he just said.
Yes. And listen to the hubris that he tried to. I mean, he was still trying to talk tough. That I don't think he will do again. Shut up. Like, like now he's trying to be third party tough. You hear that? Like the action that the Wisconsin did that I don't think he will do again.
He basically said, when you're playing Michigan, respect them? What?
Yeah. They're the story.
And I
program.
love the Fab Five. So this is not coming from the people who never liked you, Jalen. I love the Fab Five. Heck, we wore black socks and Charles Barkley's in AAU, and Coach went and got some ridiculously long shorts to the point where I had to pull mine up because you couldn't run no more.
Listen, Michigan and Illinois, they started the long shorts, man. They weren't no long shorts before that.
we did that. So I'm a huge fan, and I'm telling you, Juwan's wrong. And every coach that you felt like did worse should have also been fired. That's what I'm gonna tell you.
That was he should have. Does anybody agree? He should have only said the last 30 seconds. If he only said that last 30 seconds, I think he did him a huge favor, right? Saying this is not him, I apologize for. But to say the Michael Jackson stuff and the talk tough and the we're Michigan this.
We're Michigan, MB. So
we
the class of the Big Ten. Like, again, I just gave y'all what Duke did, what Coach K did when he was getting beat by 30. He called the timeout, not Clemson. So, like, I don't get that. Like, and you know, and like Jalen said, we was throwing alleys off the backboard, celebrating. This my house, all that kind of stuff. This is their turn. Be good every year. You don't have to worry about that. He said, "Oh yeah, teams are going to want to put it on Michigan." That's Duke's life. Every game, they rushing the court. You know what I'm saying? Like every game. So what? Don't go there if that's not what you expected. But not just as a player, but as a freaking head coach, don't go there because you know that's what you're signing up for.
And it's a stain. I mean, this is going to be around for a while. No matter what they do, this is around for a long time, right?
Nah, this isn't Steven Jackson and Artest going up into the stands and theoretically getting into a fight with not theoretically they did with paying customers.
But this is a leader of young men. And again, like, I'm sorry if they recruit my son right now, we just slashed him. I'm just telling you the truth. Jason, you didn't ask me the question, but we moving on. We going to the other school. Because I don't want that. I don't want my son thinking that's okay. And that's what, and his best friend, one of his brothers, had to get on TV and say that's not okay. You know what I mean? While trying to explain it away. But when I'm having a conversation with my kids, I'm not telling them what the other person shouldn't have done. That's not how we communicate. I'm not worried about them. I'm talking to them about what our expectations in this household are, not what they did. Like, we ain't going by that. And that's what that felt like to me, MB. Sorry.
I mean, I definitely agree with that, what you just said about what you're telling fam. I just think, man, it goes back to what you talked about before, that nobody told him the truth. Nobody said, look, man, you were wrong. So, because right now, usually what happened, I know in the NFL, and I'm sure it's got to be same just in college, when I was in college, your sports information director, right, is like, okay, coach, you got to go see the media, da-da-da-da. Hey, this is what they're going to, like you're coaching them up.
Right.
To what to say and what not to say, right? And how to do it. And so that's the thing where he made a mistake and the people around him failed him. Like, somebody should have been pulling this dude aside before he got on there and said, Coach, look, hey, man, this is how you need to handle it. Because right now you were wrong. I understand what you're saying. Because you look at the video then, like I'm looking at it, putting an account with Jalen saying, he said what he had said, and he kept walking. The guy grabbed him, like, touched his arm. But still, it's still at the end of the day, he's a coach and he cannot respond like that. In the end of the day, and that's where his character, the money, when I'm talking about the character money that he has in the bank, right? The goodwill, that's the only thing that's going to save him at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because Jalen said, I know it's hard. The people who's making the decision know it's hard. Hopefully, man, he can get another chance. I would hate to see him go out like that. But like I said, K-Lou, you're right. I bring that point. The people around him, they should have never let him get on that press conference and not and
clean it up,
have him double down. He basically doubled down. No, he should never grab him. He's like,
it's funny, and to let you guys know how strongly I feel about that. Friend of mine coaches high school right now, and he was, talking to me about who he was going to hire in the staff, all that. And the first thing I said is, you need this guy, or this guy. All of them were the same. They were guys that already did it, retired, and he respected in a way that if they spoke to him, he's shutting down everything he's doing and listening. That's the only advice I gave him. I was like, I don't care who else, but you need a guy like this on your staff. So I really believe in that. And that's why you see, because all of us can do that. All of us can get lose control, get overexcited, blah, blah, blah. But those are the guys that they understand why you brought them there. So they begin to fulfill that role at that moment.
Yeah.
So MB, if you had the button, the firing button, you're saying you wouldn't right now, but if he does not, I mean, the longer it takes, the worse this gets. But what if he does not come out and apologize, and MB is the decider? You gonna still not fire him if he's
no. So if he don't come out and apologize, right, then he's gonna get fired. And then if I'm his athletic director, right,
yeah,
and even if he come out and apologize, but it's one of those watered down apology, like he's actually don't understand what he did, right? The Bible talks about godly sorrow leads to repentance. If it ain't godly sorrow, you know how some people apologize because they got caught. Right. But other people apologize because they genuinely see what I did was wrong. If it ain't one of those genuinely take the plank out of my eyes that I was wrong, then it's just pride. Because like I said, it's just pride. Then so yes, I would those the standards. Me personally, I hate to get him fired because I don't know him personally, but everything I know of him, it's always been positive, always been classy. You know what I'm saying?
Philanthropic.
Yeah. And then for me, with the state of minority coaches not being hired, you just hate to see that,
That's
because it's a great opportunity at a big time, Michigan program, is so I just hate to see that. I hate for it to be on all different levels for this to be a casualty, so for him to be casualty and get punished to that degree, because it's Bobby Knight threw chairs, you know what I'm saying? And
guess what? He should have got fired too, way before he eventually got fired.
It's interesting. Coach, it's taking coach.
Other coaches been put in this situation and survive. I just hope he survives. I hope, just what I say. I hope he's remorseful. He truly apologized. Don't come with this watered down stuff. Well, I'm sorry. He got to come and
clean it up.
Let him know. And that's what my thoughts on
it. It's funny what you said about Coach K. It took him just till recently, K. Lou, about talking about Bobby Knight, that he broke off his relationship with him because he was such a bully and his tactics. He's like, eventually had enough of it. He's like, I'm tired of playing this game. Juwan's he's got Phil Martelli on his bench. He's got a 45-year-old coach from St. Joe's. He's got Howard Isley who played in the league. He's got some people who've been there before. He had a tantrum. He flipped his, whatever he had going on in his head.
Coached 45 years, or he's 45 years old.
No, Phil Martelli coached 45 years. And
that's the guy.
45 years of coaching experience. Yeah,
that's who was supposed to step in. That's why he's there. He failed.
But I'm telling you though, he failed them. All of them failed them around him. Yeah. And that sports information director, whoever that,
the AD, yeah.
No, it ain't got to be AD. They have a media relations.
SID,
director. The SID. Person failed. That person failed them because they should have never had him go there because he's sitting there in the press conference on cross.
Yeah,
he was still
cancel the conference.
Frustrated.
Tell him he can't appear before you go do that. Absolutely.
You said, I'm sorry, say it, Caleb.
I said, I agree. Cancel the press conference. Say he can't appear before you let him go out there and do that.
If he, somebody should have. They could not let him go out like that. Somebody had to tell him the truth, and he was wrong.
Well, we appreciate y'all, man. We went way over. We appreciate y'all pulling up, stopping through, hollering at us because you know us. From Sideline to Baseline with MB and K. Lou, on Rodgery and Double A, we are gone.
Peace.